welcome everybody. This is Entity Education number 6. Are you scared or are you scary? And I actually love this title. This is a line from the Talk to the Entities manual, and it is basically about everything that we learned about entities as kids, and from the movies. I mean, I think that all of us were taught in some way to be scared, or that it was a good idea to be scared of entities, of ghosts, rather than actually being the dominant energy in your life, in the universe, being the leader that you are. And when I say dominant energy, I don't mean power over others. I don't mean dominating others. What I really mean is this place of leadership and being dominant, as in I'm not going to follow what anybody else has as a need from me. I'm actually going to create what I know is going to work in my life. So everything that doesn't allow you to really acknowledge what's going to work in your life that is different than everybody else, will you destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, povids, and beyonds. So what's the difference? What's the willingness to be scary? When you are actually being dominant and prominent and expressing yourself as you and really living in the question, you end up being really different than other people and having a life that has less problems, less difficulties, and less upset than other people. And so it's like, are you willing to actually be that different? Are you willing to be so different that you can't call your friends and complain and, commiserate and be normal like everybody else? So I want to actually invite you guys to close your eyes and expand to the top 4 corners of the room that you're in and the bottom 4 corners of the room that you're in, and expand out over the whole building that you're in, and expand out over the whole city, the whole state or province, and the whole country. Do you notice how that as you're expanding your space, you actually have access to more? And this is very intimidating and scary to those who are not willing to occupy this much space. So keep expanding. And I want you guys to expand out over the whole planet and ask the question, what energetic synthesis of being do I have available that I am not currently accessing? And let's access that energetic synthesis of being. Let that wave roll through you. And now expand that out as big as your being, bigger than the planet, out into the universe. Expanding, expanding, expanding. Now, get the energy of what it would be like to never be intimidated again. great facilitation I had with Gary about this is he had said, Julia, you are willing to be a coward. And I really had to look at that and really work through that. And he said, you love it because it allows you to be the victim. And so how many of you love to be the victim and haven't yet acknowledged that? Everything that is times a godzillion, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9 pod, poc, shorts, boys, povids, and beyonds. Everything you've done to be scared rather than scary, and all the emotional povids and all the literal povids connected to that, will you revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate that times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9 pod, poc, shorts, boys, povids, and beyonds. Keep expanding your energy out. Part of being courageous rather than a coward is the willingness to offend people sometimes. When done in a really clear way. A great way to do this is to ask people, if somebody bullies you or insults you, you say, what did you intend with that? There's 2 things. I mean, there's many things, but 2 great options that work in certain situations. You've got to ask the question and use it towards your situation. One great one is, what did you intend with that? What did you intend with that comment? And I have used this tool for years, and as I've been willing to give up more and more of being a coward and being willing to offend people, which I'm still working on. I'm not the best at that. I grew up in Canada where nobody offends anybody. But sometimes being offensive is what's required to create change in the world and to move things. And the willingness to be offensive doesn't mean that you're always going to be offensive. It just means that if needed and it would create the greatest result in any given moment, then you would. And so recently I noticed this working in a really energetic way. I have a family member who is just known for being totally frustrating and upsetting and rude and always likes to bully others. And I hadn't seen them for 7 years, and I saw them recently, and my energy went in, whereas before I would have been a coward. My energy went in and went, if they insult me or anybody in the family, I am going to slice them, basically. And I will ask them, not confront them necessarily, but say, what did you intend with that comment? And that person didn't come near me. They used to bully me and bother me. They could feel in my energy that I was not controllable. And if they did, I would slice them. And they came, and when they came, they didn't come near me. I went over and I said, hi, it's so nice to see you, and gave them a hug. And they were like, because my energy was so, you can be kind and happy and be that energy of intimidation at the same time. A really great story about the willingness to be kind and intimidating is, and you guys can open your eyes. We'll go back to that exercise actually in a minute, but if you'd like to open your eyes, I want to tell this story before we go on to the second part of the exercise. That there was a woman in Canada, and she was taking an Access 7-day class with Dane and Gary. And she basically, her father was dying, and he was in the hospital when there was COVID. And he was 7 hours away from her by car. And she was sitting at her desk and she got this sense. She heard this voice. Oh, excuse me. She heard this voice say, today would be a nice day to go for a drive. And she got the sense that she had to go see her dad, even though people weren't allowed in the hospital because of COVID restrictions. And so she packed her bag and she drove 7 hours to the hospital. And when she got there, she was this force of nature. And she went inside the hospital, not yelling, not grimacing, not angry. She was happy. And she went in and she was so happy. And she said, you know, I am here to see my dad. And they were like, oh, okay. And they actually didn't even know what to do with her. They didn't know how to stop her, how to get her away, how to tell her that she couldn't come because of COVID. And they got so disoriented with her energy of intimidation mixed with the happiness that they just let her in. And she got to see her dad, and she spent that whole day with her dad. And what ended up happening was that he died not long after that. And she was so grateful that she could have gone and seen her dad. And so it's like, it's right here, Anthony. It created this, Anthony's looking for his book. It created this amazing thing in her life, in her world, because she was happy. There was no meanness, no confrontation, no yelling, no harshness. But at the same time, she was willing to be this killing energy, and she was willing to be scary rather than scared. She was not willing to be a coward. So how many emotional POVIDs and how many literal POVIDs are you using to create you as the cowardly lion you are choosing? Everything that is, will you revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, pod, poc, shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. All right, so close your eyes again. And with entities, how much were you taught that you needed to be scared of ghosts and that ghosts could harm you? What if ghosts could be a contribution to your life in a way that's totally different than you imagined? And everything that doesn't allow you to be that level of intimidation and be that level of greatness, will you revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate all the emotional and the literal POVIDs that you're using to hold that cowardliness in place? Right and wrong, good and bad, all 9, pod, poc, shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. Someone says the dynamic way. I really appreciate that, because I usually think of intimidation as a serious thing or harsh in some way. Yeah, like at this party, I was like just glowing with happiness, and that scared certain people. And consciousness always wins. So it's like, when you're willing to be consciousness is inclusive of that killing energy. Being a coward is not including everything and judging nothing. Being a coward is loving being a victim, and it's excluding killing energy. It's excluding strength, and it's excluding leadership. Okay? So everywhere you like to be a coward rather than be a leader, will you now, and I'm about to use the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. If you don't know what that is, go to theclearingstatement.com. But everything that is, will you revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it all? And Nicole Kim just joined, and Urja, and Jordan. Hi, guys. Revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, pod, poc, shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. So close your eyes again and notice that you're still expanded out. And for those of you just getting on, expand your space out larger than the universe. And ask the universe what the greatest possibilities available are for you to include all intimidation, all killing energy, and all courage with total ease, because you are courage. You like literally, and actually don't think about it as going out to find courage or get courage. It's more about taking off your love of being a victim and a coward. Once you get rid of the love of being a victim and a coward, what's there, what you find, what lives as you, the being, is this space of hugeness, intensity, and inclusion of the whole universe that is so fast, so intense, and so powerful. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. So all the emotional POVIDs and all the literal POVIDs connected to that, will you revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, online, pod, poc, shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. And you've got to ask, what courage? No, I'm going to give you something different. I'll give you two things. What power and potency am I not willing to receive? And what's valuable about me that I am refusing to perceive, know, be, and receive? Everything that is, and all the emotional POVIDs and all the literal POVIDs connected to that. Will you revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. And what do you hate you for that necessitates making you wrong for always? And all the emotional POVIDs and all the literal POVIDs of you hating you. Will you revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate any and all of that times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. How does it get better than that? Sue Cotter Nurture. I like your handle. I like that it says nurture. That's awesome. That's so cool. How's Ireland today, Sue? Oh, cool. So we've just had, for those of you who are just joining us, we've just had an extensive conversation, a sort of two short part energy exercises about being willing to be the courage rather than the coward. And I was talking about a story with Gary where somebody was doing something to intimidate me, and he said to me, but you, Julia, are willing to be a coward. And I went, it was so amazing when he said it. It just like went through me, and I received it. I didn't try to reject it. I received it, and I went, I am willing to be a coward. And it's like, and then he said, you need to be willing to offend people to move things forward sometimes. And he said, everywhere you're not willing to offend people. So anyways, let's make up a new clearing since we have the emotional POVIDs now. So how many emotional POVIDs and how many literal POVIDs are you using to create the cowardice as more vital, valuable, and real than the power and potency are you choosing? Everything that is times a godzillion. Will you revoke, recant, rescind, reclaim, renounce, denounce, destroy, and uncreate it all? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, POVIDs, and beyonds. Sue said, courage versus coward. Love that. Reminds me of Wizard of Oz. I just ran a clearing about being the cowardly lion right before you got on. That's awesome. And Orja says, thank you for sharing this. Awesome. I'm really glad that it helps because what he taught me about the difference between courage and cowardice is a very different way than I had ever heard it before he taught me this. And I'm really grateful for, I was really grateful for that information, and I really want to pass it to you guys because, and when I say and I don't want to repeat the whole live that I've already done. So if you have to go back and listen, do that. But I'll just briefly talk about it. Recap what I said. It's like I was talking also about offending people, being willing to offend people, but you can also be the willingness to be offensive includes the killing energy. And it's like you can be that killing energy with kindness and happiness. And it's like if there's somebody who tries to intimidate you, bullies you, and there's a difference between, like, Gary can be intimidating for consciousness. Dane is intimidating for consciousness. But when people are intimidating to have power over you, that's when you want to go, no, you don't get to intimidate me. And when I really started learning about not allowing myself to be a coward and not, like, I didn't know how to do it. Like, I had nowhere to go, and I was missing so much awareness and information about how to stop myself from being able to be bullied. Part one, I had to acknowledge where I do bully. That was helpful. Because when I wasn't willing to realize where I was a bully, then I couldn't have that energy in my world. Sort of like how in Access we talk about when you're not willing to notice when somebody has a weird sexual abuse energy, you don't have the awareness if they were to sexually abuse your child. But if you're willing to face the energy of sexual abuse head on, you can always tell and sense and have an awareness of when somebody will sexually abuse. So it's a similar thing. I wasn't willing to realize where I was being a bully, so I wasn't willing to face bullying head on. Anne says, yes, that being kind and being the killing energy, that is a powerful key. Thanks for the reminder. You're welcome. Awesome. So it's like, first of all, I had to face that in myself, and that was brutal. That was really brutal. To really look at, and you know how Gary says you need to be brutally honest with yourself? It's like you have to be brutally honest with yourself. And I was brutally honest with myself to the point where I would be so brutally honest with myself, but then I would go, oh no, but you're still nice to this person. What was required, I had to push away that positive judgment of myself and stay with the brutality and go, no, you are destroying your life, you're destroying other people, and you're being incredibly unkind. And you know who I was really unkind to a lot? Number one, myself. Bullied the crap out of myself. If you want to watch a movie about bullying the crap out of yourself, watch The Devil Wears Prada. And do you know who else I bullied? My husband. I bullied the crap out of my husband and myself. Those were my two main things. Like, the closer I was to somebody or the more I cared about them, the more I bullied them. Myself being the number one person that I bullied. And so it's like, so I started getting brutal with what a bully I was. And then it created this place where I had more space to, when somebody tried to intimidate me or bully me, I would go, no, this is not acceptable. And I didn't know how to deal with it. So I actually had to seek a lot of facilitation from different facilitators, Gary being sort of the main helper. And he really taught me how to offend people in a very creative and generative way, in order to ensure that they would never bully me again. What is the bullying energy? Well, you'll know it for you. It's something that's abusive and gives you a twist in your guts. I think that a great way that I really recognize when somebody's tried to make me less is when I can't stop thinking about it. Like, it just stays in my world, and I stew about it. Because what I had tended to do also, especially after I realized how much I was a bully, I had to, once I realized how much I was a bully, okay, what I would tend to do, which was not a good idea, is when somebody bullied me, and I'm using bullying, I mean like intimidate or tell you what to do in a weird way or make a weird comment to diminish you. Any type of others trying to diminish you is what I'm talking about. Bullying maybe isn't the best word to encompass what I'm really talking about. Bullying is one form, but I think it's much broader than bullying. So I'll use the words try to make you less, because I think that encompasses in a greater way what I'm trying to articulate, the broadness of it. So what I would tend to do is if somebody tried to make me less, I would go, okay, so why do I deserve this? Like, yeah, that was super mean of them, but what did I do to deserve this? And that's something that would keep me in the cycle and the loop. Because there were situations where somebody tried to make me less, but I had really sort of invited that or provoked that with my actions. So really opening it up and getting really clean and getting really clear about what I was doing to, how do I say it? Getting really clean and clear on what I was doing to create it, and really clear on the fact that it wasn't my fault also. Because we create everything in our lives, but sometimes somebody's Instagram name is I love you, old woman. That's so funny. But one of the things that we tend to do is like make ourselves wrong. And I really had to stop and I had to go, nope, I am not making myself wrong. Maybe I did create this. Maybe I said something or did something that did provoke this, but I am not wrong in this situation. They're not wrong, but they don't get to treat me like that. So now, how do I move forward? What do I say? How do I create? How do I put myself on the offense position rather than the defense? How do I offend this person rather than defend myself? And so that's really a learning curve and a really dynamic process. And I think if you want more information about that, take classes with Gary and Dane and ask them how to do this stuff. Buy the classes that they have done on lies, lines, and manipulations, and really study how to do this. Where else can you find resources on how to do this? Oh, I'm trying to think. Does anybody know of any resources? Private sessions with facilitators who are good at this is number one. What's really popping is the Home of Infinite Possibilities book. It doesn't teach specific manipulations, but it is about committing to your life and getting the courage of you. That's that book with the elephant on it. Very powerful. And then buying the classes, the telecalls that Gary has done on lies, lines, and manipulations in the Access Shop. It's extremely powerful, extremely relevant, and something that you really want to learn for you. So I conclude for today our conversation. Are you willing to be scared or scary? It is part of entity education when you really realize that you don't need to be afraid of entities. You don't need to be afraid of people. You don't need to be afraid of anyone. And how much is all of your fear a lie and an unwillingness to take up the great strength of you as the being? Okay? So, how does it get better than this? And I will see you guys next time for another adventure. Bye-bye.